Hello, everybody. I'm George from Ireland. Well, welcome back to my channel. So this is about the fighting between Thailand and Cambodia. Fortunately, I think it's large enough scale to be called a war at this stage. So for several days, there's been firing across the border between them, and over 30 people have been killed, some of whom are civilians. So it's partly to do with a phone call and disobliging utterances made by the government of one about another and so on is partly to do with a border dispute. So tens of thousands of people have fled the border area. So it's partly, yeah, because they don't agree with the demarcation of the border. Um, so it's really about three Thai provinces, which is just to the north west of Cambodia, Surin, Ubon, Ratchathani, and Sri Saket. Forgive me if I mispronounce those. Goodness. So the Thais say 13 of their civilians and 6 of their soldiers have been killed, more wounded. Some of the wounded may yet die of their wounds. And the Cambodians say that they sustained 5 military deaths and 8 civilians have been killed. That's it. The Prime Minister of Thailand, Phumim Awechawachai, said that this could lead to a war. Fortunately, it's low enough scale. Um, and the Thais said that the Cambodians have been shooting into civilian areas, and they've told everybody those villages to leave anywhere near the frontier with Cambodia. And Cambodia has riposted, said the Thais are using cluster munitions, which are banned in some countries. I don't know if they're banned in these two countries. Now, the Thais haven't answered that one, which makes me think that's a true allegation. I don't know. Notably, Russia and Ukraine both use cluster munitions. So they land, they can spread out over a large area, they can stay there for ages, and people can come along and be blown up by them days later. So should there be mediation? Now, you can tell that Bangkok is actually quite self-assured about that. They've rebuffed any offer of someone playing honest broker between the two. Now, both are members of ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and they fly that flag. By their embassy, you'll see the national flag of either Thailand and Cambodia and the ASEAN flag, but ASEAN's obviously not worth very much if two of its members fight each other, something which is unimaginable within the European Union. Now, there's a chairmanship of ASEAN, and that rotates between the prime ministers of about the dozen member states is Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, the Philippines. Am I forgetting anyone? I don't know if East Timor is actually in it. So the United States has asked them to de-escalate, to bring peace. Wow, a bit rich coming from Trump asking people to dial down the temperature. So this goes back over a century. So the French arrived in the Southeast Asia region in the 1850s, supposedly to protect Catholic missionaries and so on. But they took over Indochina, as they called it, which was what's now Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. They took Laos in the late 19th century, which had been a vassal of Thailand. They took Cambodia, and they drew the border between Cambodia and what was then Siam to favor themselves. And the Thais haven't accepted they want it back. But before the French erupted into the region, they've been fighting between the Cambodians and the Thais for centuries. And indeed, there's a town in Cambodia called Siam Reap, as in Siamese defeat, when they beat them. That's quite near the Orang Khor Wat complex of those incredible stone temples and steps like that steep and stuff like that. I was there many years ago, right before 9/11, curiously enough. Remember, Cambodia, the most underdeveloped country I've ever been through. So it underscores the evils of anti-imperialism, just why colonial rule is needed by that part of the world, because the anti-imperialists, they caused genocide. A very large percentage of the Cambodian population murdered. These are all anti-imperial atrocities, horrific tyranny, made the most undeveloped country I've ever seen, reducing the most abject poverty, bringing it back to like the Iron Age. And if the French had stayed there, that none of it would have happened. They were a lot freer, safer, happier, richer, better in every single way. But anyway, so this border, even the French hadn't drawn the border, would they fought at the border anyway? It's very likely they would have. France, notably, as is usually the case, has given its diplomatic backing to its erstwhile colony. Obviously, Cambodia is not very important for France, and vice versa. And Vietnam, when I was there in 2001, is one of the few countries where French sort of had parity with English, but I'm told that's not the case at all. For every person learning French in Vietnam, they're 10 learning English. So it's over that border as well. That's where the tensions go back to. And in the late 19th century, Thailand had to cede Laos. They backed down. So sometimes appeasement works. So they're not done so. Maybe the French were taking the whole country. Why did the French not try to annex Thailand as a whole? Partly that would be biting off more than they can chew. Thailand's a fairly big country. We're fighting in difficult terrain in the jungle. Moreover, Britain might have said, "Hey, you don't do that. You're intruding on our patch. You're getting too strong." Uh, um, is part to do when in 2008, the Cambodia attempted to register a certain temple as theirs. And it's a UNESCO. They wanted to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's almost 1,000 years old, so they disagreed on that one. So supposedly, the Thais said that their military units near the border were being surveilled recently by Cambodian military drones and so on. So is also to distract from internal disputes in Thailand. Um, because earlier this month, the Thai Prime Minister resigned, and she's Patongton Shinawatra, the sister of Saksin Shinawatra, who was Prime Minister about 20 years ago, the telecommunications mogul, billionaire. Is it divergent from this? Because Miss Shinawatra, she was heard in this phone call being dismissive about a Thai general, calling him uncle, and people thought that was grossly disrespectful. People said that she should resign. Eventually, she did. I mean, the Constitutional Court suspended her. So, is it misdirection because of this? Yeah, and that was on a phone call to Hun Sen, who used to be the Prime Minister of Cambodia. So it could be to do with that. All right. So now the Thais have every reason to be confident. They outnumber the Cambodians. They've got a much larger land area. They could retreat into their land if they need to. The Cambodians can't retreat that far. They've got a better road and railway network to deploy troops. They've just got more of everything and better equipment because they're a richer country. They can afford more expensive stuff. On the other hand, tourism is quite important to their economy. It's not that important to the Cambodians. Cambodia doesn't have that much tourism. It would scare people away, and this is the summer season. Western tourists wouldn't be going. It made it too hot to go in Thailand. It does get a bit cooler in the winter, but of course, Thailand being so close to the equator, the winter and summer doesn't make that much difference. So they don't want to. That would scare off tourists. That would hit their economy fairly badly. But they think this is a war that they can quite easily win. Now, nobody's talking about going all the way to Phnom Penh, but maybe just take the disputed area, or as they would perceive it, to put manners on the Cambodians. So obviously, I would like peace, and I regret every death. And I don't have a dog in this fight. I've got no beef with either country. Where should the border really be? I don't know. So a disputatious types where you can jump in and you can be more partisan, but I profess my ignorance on this one. So peace now. Thanks for watching the channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon. Donate to PayPal, georgecannon7@gmail.com. Bye.